for taking the time to talk with me about the statement, "Why aren't you vegan yet?" So you told me you have a vegan friend and you love him and you respect his choice.
Yes.
And so I want to ask you, like, why aren't you vegan yet? And hear your point of view on it.
Well, in the country I came from, Romania, we take meat as a tradition in some sort of way. Every Christmas we sacrifice a pig. It's a big tradition. Everybody in everybody's household does that, and it's kind of impossible to keep the tradition alive without this food.
Without meat.
Yes, without meat, and we have a special dish with meat, stuffed cabbage, whatever. Everybody eats it. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
It's no. And you know how grandmas are. You can't escape the meal
Tradition.
without eating everything.
Yeah, I understand. And is your friend is Romanian?
Sure, for sure.
Yeah. And so he was able to do it, right?
Right, but he doesn't like the taste of meat in the first place,
Okay.
and it came very easy for him,
Okay.
and I think it's kind of hard with the part of not using animal products in makeup or clothes. I think you can get easily fooled by appearances, by you know, uh, whatever.
Okay, like
First
okay,
impressions.
yeah, okay. Like let's go with the fact that like eating meat is a tradition and it has always been done and it's part of your culture, right?
Yes.
But for example, in China they have a festival called Julang. I don't know if you
Alright.
know about it,
No, I don't.
where they slaughter cats and dogs and they eat it. It's a festival where they eat this. Does that make it right?
Well, it doesn't for our culture, in especially because we look at those animals as pets. Even here is my first day in Spain, and I got culture shocked when someone offered me a horse meat sandwich. And for me, it's so weird because in Romania we still use horses on the fields and on streets to agriculture and stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's so weird for me.
Yeah, I understand. And like, doesn't that tell you anything like about the morality of the thing? Like, for example, do you agree? Like, in some cultures, it's normal to mutilate the genitalias of women. You know, to like for example, in Orthodox Jewish culture, it's normal to mutilate genitalias of women, so they don't have pleasure in sex. Does that make it morally justifiable? I mean, um,
No.
yeah, it doesn't.
It's
Right?
horrible.
It's horrible. It's horrible, and that's what I mean. You know, it's dangerous to look at things like the way always things have been done does not mean it's the right way to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Women used to be treated way less than men in the 80s, in the 90s. They used to be like nothing, while now that would be, if you would do that, you know, there would be a crime. So like,
it was horrible times. People didn't think as much as they do now. I
yeah,
think.
and the same thing goes with, like, for example, that in some cultures this is the thing, right, that they mutilate women the genitalias. In China they eat dogs and cats, but if we look at that, you arrived here, you will culture shock because they eat horses here. Doesn't that tell you something about the fact that it shocks you that much?
Uh, yes, I think part of it, but well, it's always it's it's one of the options you can take, veganism or vegetarianism, as a first step, I think. But it's not that popular where I come from. If you are showing this to other people, you are made fun of. People never respect you. It's very hard, and plus it's very hard eating like that because there are not so many. Well, now I think they start to appear in our country too, but it's hard to only eat vegetables and vegetable products.
Yeah, of course. But that something is hard doesn't mean that it's impossible
It's
and that
not.
you
Yeah.
shouldn't do it. Like, for example, if Martin Luther King listened to what other people thought about him, maybe black people would still be oppressed right now.
Yes.
You know, so it's, I think it's really important to bring change, to not like listen to what other people do or think about you, or just doing what's morally right. You know,
That's for sure.
and like I have one more question. Do you think like we have a moral obligation as humans to like protect the weak?
Well, yes, I think we should take care of each other, and especially the weak of us and the weak of other species,
Yeah,
especially
yeah, and like
like endangered species or
yeah, like, and if we can agree on that, you know, I think we can agree as well that veganism is kind of like the right choice to do.
well, if you put it that way, it's a pretty strong argument,
Yeah, right.
and first of all, I think people should at least try
Yeah.
for a small period of time.
And I can guarantee you, when you try, you will really notice
And
that you
stick to
don't
it.
need meat, and you will even stick to it. Because me, for I was eating meat every day before I went vegan 3 years ago, and since now I didn't look back. And of course, I've slipped up. I've eaten some eggs before while being vegan, but you know that doesn't take my efforts away of trying to protect the weak, because you know a baby cow, it cannot protect itself. The same, a dog, a pig, they cannot protect themselves, and we are exploiting them in millions, in billions.
Yes.
And while to feed all those animals, there are starving millions of billions of people, while we could use that food to feed those people.
Well, it's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I agree
Okay.
with you.
Well, Vladimir, thank you. That's it. And